So, there's a presidential candidate by the name of Tom Steyer. Whatever. He went on MSNBC, and he tested out his new message since he jumped into the race. Look at how disingenuous this is. And then when we come back, if you don't understand why it's disingenuous, I'll explain it.
Joining our conversation now, Democratic presidential candidate Tom Steyer. Tom, good morning. Appreciate you coming on with us, especially early out there on the West Coast. I understand you and your campaign have some news to share.
Yes, we do. One of the requirements to be on the debate stage is to have 130,000 individual donations, and people have been asking us if we're going to make it, and the answer is we've made it. As of this morning, in fact, we have 130,000 individual donations. So you've met the donor threshold. You still have a poll threshold to make. Most people believe you will get there and that you will be on the stage for those debates. So what will be your message? This will be an introduction for a lot of the country, although you've spent a lot of money. You've been on the air a lot in places like Iowa, but most of the country hasn't met you, doesn't know what you stand for. In that crowded field, what will be your message in the debate?
I have a simple message, Joe, and that's this. We have a broken government. There's been a hostile corporate takeover of our government, and I'm here to return to government of, by, and for the people. I've been an outsider for 10 years, organizing coalitions of ordinary American citizens to take on unchecked corporate power, and for 10 years, we've been beating those corporations and winning. And that is my message, that is job one, to take back the government from the corporations who bought it.
And it's a similar message, as you know, Tom, to someone like Senator Elizabeth Warren or Senator Bernie Sanders, who've been railing against corporations and corporate money in politics. How will you be different from them?
Well, I think that the big difference is this, that I'm an outsider, that I have been doing it from the outside successfully for 10 years. If you look at the other people who are running for this nomination, they're overwhelmingly insiders. The top 4 people are all senators or former senators who have more than 70 years combined in the Congress and the Senate of the United States. So I think there's a big question for all Democratic voters. If job one is to take back the government from corporations, do you think it's going to come from someone who's a grassroots activist and who's been doing it from the outside successfully, or do you think an insider, somebody who's been working inside the Beltway for years, is the person who's actually going to change D.C.?
Dog, don't chill, stop. I don't know what you're doing. You have to stop. All right, listen. The thing is, he's so close, yet so far. So let me explain. Yes, when you're running for president in today's day and age, you have to come across as, I'm an anti-corruption, populist outsider who's crusading for the people. You have to do that. So his instinct in that respect is correct. However, where he's so insanely wrong and it's comically stupid is the overreach, where he's like, me, bro? Me? I'm an outsider and a grassroots activist. No, stop. You can't say that, dude. Tom Steyer is a billionaire who made his money in finance, and he's pretending that not only is he an outsider, but also, you heard it, he's Bernie Sanders. I mean, these guys are insiders. No. Oh, no, you were so close, bro. He was so close with the, yeah, we need to shake up Washington and get rid of the corporate control. And, yeah, all true. I'm a grassroots activist and an outsider. No. We all know you're a billionaire who made your money in finance. And Bernie Sanders is an insider. You done fucked it. You know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up. Right? I mean, all you had to do was not, piss off all of Bernie Sanders supporters, and you just did it. Like, what, you think they're going to vote for you and they think you're a bigger outsider? But let's be clear, because I want to define what it means to be an outsider. Because what he's doing is he's redefining it here in a way that's self-serving. The way he's defining it is Washington versus everybody else. That's not it. Because guess what? Take, for example, Wall Street in New York. They're not outsiders. They're technically outside of Washington. They are, but they're not outsiders. Nobody ever would call them outsiders. So obviously the definition is not just in Washington and out of Washington. The definition of an outsider to me is not connected to big money and representative of the American people. That's an outsider. Because the elites are not representing the American people, okay? And they're corrupt, and they're bought by big money. So by that definition, which is, I think, the most straightforward and honest definition, obviously Bernie Sanders is an outsider. Yeah, he's been in Washington for a long time, but he's been fighting for the people every step of the way, and he's been against the corruption and the big money every step of the way. So he's been in Washington, but he's the biggest outsider in the country. So for you to see, that's the thing. You just smeared the strongest lefty populist candidate in the race, and honestly, you just tanked your chances in an instant. You tanked your chances up front because you can't do that. Like, you're throwing haymakers at somebody who's like 30 leagues above you, and it's a bad look. And that's not saying you can't criticize Bernie, but if you do, you got to come correct, man. And this is not even close to correct. So now the other thing that I wanted to mention about Tom Steyer is he was the guy, and this occurred to me the other night. I was almost mad at myself for not getting it earlier. But he's the guy who did the whole impeach Trump campaign, where he was like the number one guy in the country pushing this nonstop, blowing millions of dollars on ads for it. Again, billionaire, so this is what he does with it. He could spend that money to totally eliminate homelessness. Nope. Well, he doesn't have enough to totally eliminate homelessness. Let me be fair to him. But he could have used the millions of dollars he was using to do impeach Trump ads to, give homeless people a roof over their head, but he didn't. He was wasting it on the ads. But the whole point was, I'm going to lead the impeach Trump campaign, which is going to go nowhere. Sign my petition. Give me your email when you sign my petition. And then the whole point was, it's a ruse just to build a giant email list so that when he runs for president, he can mass spam everybody with emails to try to basically buy his way onto the debate stage. And that's what he did. So he created this giant email list under false pretenses. People thought they're signing up for a movement to impeach Trump. It was really to give this billionaire asshole your information so that later on he could use you to try to get elected president. And that's what happened. So, and he also, it was selling anti-Trump bumper stickers, but it was counting towards individual donations to him, which is really kind of sleazy. So he's reached because a lot of people are like, how the fuck did he reach the donor threshold to get into the next debate? Because he did. And the answer is, again, he bought his way in. And he did all these sleazy tricks in order to get in. Selling bumper stickers, that counts as an individual donation, so he's got over 130,000 individual donors to get into the next debate. How the hell did he get over 2% in the polls? Well, that one, you're going to have to dive into the mechanics of that, because there's no way this dude is going to get over 2% in 3 polls. But somehow the DNC went, oh, look at that. I found a few polls where this guy made it in. You're telling me there's not foul play? And by the way, later on, we'll get to a story how they are literally excluding some very, highly regarded polls because they don't like the results of those polls. So Tulsi Gabbard and Julian Castro are being excluded, at least as of right now, because, oh my God, they don't have above 2% in 3 polls or however many they're supposed to have it in. Even though Tulsi has over 2% in more than 3 polls, but those polls, the DNC is going, they don't count for reasons X, Y, and Z, even though they're highly respected and legitimate polling outlets. They don't count, they don't matter. But the ones that count and matter, they have Tom Steyer at 2%. The dude joined the race like 4.5 minutes ago, and you're telling me that this douchebag is polling over Tulsi Gabbard, who killed it in 2 debate sessions? My ass cheeks, son. My ass cheeks. I'm supposed to believe this? Come on, man. I follow politics for a living. I know this shit. There's no way that's the case. So what they're doing is, and they did this to Gravel. They did it to Gravel. And listen, everybody knows I'm a critic of Gravel. I'm on the record. I'm not hiding that from anybody. I'm critical of his campaign. However, I defended him on that because he got screwed. They screwed him out of the debate stage. They were like, let's tweak the rules to get in order to screw Gravel and bring on some other goofball who nobody gives a shit about, like Sandra Bullock, Governor Sandra Bullock. What a joke, man. Listen, when you're a billionaire who made your money in finance, you're not allowed to describe yourself as an outsider, and you're not allowed to describe yourself as a grassroots activist. And next time you run for president, at least gather your email list not under false pretenses. Like, now it's so clear to me, this dude never had a different, understanding of the impeachment situation than me. He probably saw it crystal clear, just like I saw it. That, this is going to be a dead end, and if anything, it'll help Trump. He didn't care, because he just wanted the emails, because he just wanted to run for president. So that's what's annoying me about him, is that he hasn't been honest along the way. He hasn't been upfront. Now, some people have responded and said, but Kyle, that's politics. But I would submit to you, this is probably the most sleazy that I've seen in terms of how he's building his support. Like, other candidates agree or disagree with them. They do have, a thing. Like, for example, Andrew Yang. It's not false pretenses with him. He actually believes in UBI, and he's been pushing it. Now, I have disagreements with him. He's more libertarian than I am. But hey, free country, you can represent whatever ideology you want to represent. That's all fine and dandy. But there were no false pretenses. Dude's like, hey, I'm running for president. I believe most in this UBI proposal. I'm going to build, an organization and support through pushing this idea. He's genuine on that front. Nobody doesn't think that he believes in universal basic income. Of course he does. Tom Steyer. I mean, my guess is he sees the impeachment situation very similar to how I see it, where, his analysis is it'll probably help Trump and it ain't going anywhere. It's going to die rather quickly, and the Republicans are going to dance on the grave of it and get a round of positive press. But he didn't care because he just wanted to grow his profile so he could run for president and then weasel his way onto the debate stage. So just reel it in a little bit, big guy. Reel it in a little bit. Be a little more honest with people and stop pretending that the most populist outsider candidate is an insider, because that insults our intelligence. And that's nonsense. And you're not boosting yourself when you do that. You're making yourself look silly.